Thanks, Christine. We're really excited for this partnership and really for the opportunity that it's going to bring to everyone who's maybe just getting started with ServiceNow and really wants to jump into our ecosystem with work across our customers and partners. So I'm really excited today that you gave me the time to talk about ServiceNow, but I want to start with really what job demand looks like in the ServiceNow ecosystem. And when I say our ecosystem, I mean our customers who are using ServiceNow, our partners who are helping to implement ServiceNow, and then of course ServiceNow ourselves as a company who might be hiring internally. So in 2023, we saw on average about 60,000 ServiceNow jobs per month being posted globally. And with those specific jobs being posted, we saw about 22,000 companies who are actually competing for ServiceNow talent. Again, customers, partners, ServiceNow ourselves, and others who might be using ServiceNow in different capacities. So when we look at the US specific data, in the US alone, we saw 300,000 ServiceNow postings in 2023, and all of those had a 28-day posting duration, which tells us that people are applying to those jobs and they're almost immediately hired because employers cannot keep up with that demand for talent. So that's why we're trying to get ahead of really this IT skills shortage that's already impacting us, but it's going to continue to impact us in 2025 and beyond. So the states that you see in the brighter green on screen, California, Texas, the DC area, those are all hotspots for ServiceNow talent. But there's also the ability to work remotely for a lot of these roles, depending on each employer's specific needs. We saw about 10,000 companies in the US competing for that ServiceNow talent, so still just an incredible demand, and about half of that demand coming from the US alone, looking at the global piece. And the median advertised salary is actually pretty attractive for those who are just coming into the ecosystem and just kind of dipping their feet into ServiceNow. So when we look at the top occupations that we're seeing posted both globally and across the US, the first is a computer user support specialist. So these are your service desk employees who might be using incident management or our case management as part of our IT service management or customer workflows to help both external customers with issues they might be having, or to help an internal customer or another employee within their business with an issue, maybe with, let's say, their laptop, or maybe who has a question with the maternity leave or paternity leave on the HR side of the business. Next is a software developer. Software developers are in incredibly high demand right now. These are the folks who are actually building the applications on the platform and also configuring the platform to work specifically for each business's needs. When I look at computer occupations and other, that's really our consultants. So these are folks who might work for our partners, who might work as architects within a customer or partner's business. Really the folks who are responsible for implementing and helping to manage the implementation itself as it's being stood up within the business. Computer and data analysts are focused on ultimately looking at the platform, looking at performance trends, reporting, crunching the numbers, making sure that leadership can make the right informed decisions as they start to pull in data from across different siloed platforms. And then finally, our system administrators or network administrators, these are the folks who are responsible for basically maintaining the platform, understanding who's going to be using the platform, what roles do they need, what level of access do they need, ultimately so that they can do their jobs without any hiccups along the way. And when we look at the top employers who are posting for ServiceNow talent, you'll see some big names there, the big four consulting firms like the KPMGs and the Deloittes, all the way to boutique consulting firms who focus only on implementing ServiceNow. We also have customers in there like the Marriotts, the Humanas, the Wells Fargos, and so many more. These are just the top 20 employers, but you'll see virtually everyone uses ServiceNow across the business. So speaking of who uses ServiceNow and who we are, we have been around since 2004. It's our 20th anniversary this year, and we just hit over 25,000 global employees. We power about 85% of the Fortune 500, meaning those big companies that are using ServiceNow in their business, they rely on us to really help accelerate digital transformation and business transformation across their entire enterprise. We have about 3,000 global partners who work with us to help resell, consult, implement, and really stand up the ServiceNow platform with our customers. And we couldn't do this without our partner ecosystem. We really have a strong partner ecosystem that focuses on making sure that our customers are taken care of and that they can get what they need out of their implementation. So let's talk about what ServiceNow is as a platform, because I'll be honest, I've been with ServiceNow for 5 years now, and I'm still learning something new about the platform every day, whether it's a different product or a different feature within the platform that might not be as common or might be new to the platform. It changes twice a year with different releases that we put out, and we're about to move to our Xanadu release later this year. So with ServiceNow, the reality is that so many companies have all of these systems of record, whether it's a CRM or ERP, their payroll system, procurement software. And really those softwares are all really great at what they do specifically, but the problem is they don't talk to each other. So what that does is creates all these disjointed technologies. It creates silos across people and processes all around the entire organization. And what that does is creates so much extra manual work. It increases costs across the business, and it ultimately slows down that company's growth and innovation. So when ServiceNow comes in, what we do is actually integrate with all of those legacy softwares that are in place that, like I said, are not talking to each other, and really builds bridges across those applications by pulling all of that data into one AI platform that gives leaders a single pane of glass that they can use to make informed business decisions. So we help businesses link all of those systems, the data that's coming in, the processes, and ultimately the people by providing that single experience layer that simplifies how work is done across the business. So this is still a pretty high level overview of what ServiceNow is as a platform, and I'll give you an example after this of a workflow. But when we're looking at the platform, you have all of the third-party data across the bottom in that in that gray bar. And what that does is actually pulls the data into ServiceNow. So we integrate with virtually every platform that's out there, every piece of software, whether it's Salesforce, Workday, SAP, Oracle, whatever it may be. We can basically ingest all that data, and we can create smart workflows that basically pull the data and then also push the data back into the platform so that we have less swivel chairing, we have less employees moving from one task to the other, and a lot more automation that helps them focus on the things that matter in their day. So when we look at the workflows across the top that are really built into our platform, customer workflows, employee workflows, and technology workflows are really the main areas that we have as out-of-the-box solutions. So when I think about customer workflows, I think about a business to consumer interaction. So maybe Disney Plus, for example, you go to their website, you might be having an issue with their streaming service, you open a case on their website, or maybe you look at their knowledge base, maybe you chat with their virtual agent. All of that is powered in the background by our platform, and then their agents can use it to interact with you so that it really streamlines the response time and gets you a decision a lot faster. Employee workflows and technology workflows are ultimately the internal component of a business. So think about how an employee might need to interact both with IT and with HR. We have the ability to build out a single employee service portal that allows an employee to look at things like knowledge on how to submit an FMLA request, or maybe they need more information on maternity or paternity leave. Whereas on the IT side of things, maybe they have an issue with their laptop screen and they need to get it fixed. We can open an incident, it goes to the right people, it goes to the right fulfillment teams, it goes through an approval process, and ultimately it gets the employee their new laptop a lot faster than having to deal with email and spreadsheets and tracking all that information in different places. The last thing that I want to highlight here is our creator workflows. product, which is called App Engine Studio, and that spans across the entire platform. So what that allows folks to do, when I think about business users, those who don't have coding experience, those who are not developers, but maybe they're going through these really monotonous processes every day, and they need an application to help solve that. They can actually build out their own applications so that your developers can focus on really the more labor-intensive projects and really the big projects. That allows them to kind of come in, build their applications as a business user, still go through a governance process and looking at how a developer can review and approve that before they implement it into the platform. But it ultimately frees up time for developers so that they can focus on those big projects. So everyone's talking about AI right now, and it's more than just a buzzword with our platform. As we've grown over the years, we've continued to build and acquire and integrate technology all with the same purpose, and that's to automate work better, faster, and smarter. So we incorporated AI into our platform years ago, and we've really built on top of being known as the IT service management company in 2004 to the most powerful workflow automation platform that is today. So we incorporate different parts of the business beyond IT, like HR, operations, and strategic portfolio management, for example. And we've built in that functionality like natural language understanding, machine learning, virtual agent, large language models that are specific to that business's needs and their specific employees that might be interacting with it, performance analytics, and quite a bit more that you see on this slide. So we've been using AI for several years now. So let's take a quick look at an example of how ServiceNow might be used in higher education. So a lot of colleges are still using manual processes like emailing back and forth, like tracking information in spreadsheets. And this is an example of how a transcript evaluation process might work on campus. So for a transcript review, lots of students have these transcripts from other institutions that need to be evaluated, maybe for potential credit that they might be transferring in. And it's a pretty labor-intensive process for everyone involved, from the student to the admissions rep, the registrar's office, the transcript evaluator, and so many other people that might be touching that specific transcript. So what happens when ServiceNow comes into play, and this is just how we've built it with a specific college in mind. The student submits information on the college's website, and then internally reps are creating a case and using different workspaces in ServiceNow to interpret that transcript while also going back and forth with the folks across campus. They might be reaching out to other institutions for clarification on the credit. They might be working with a student clearinghouse to understand what information's coming in. And then meanwhile, the student's probably asking for updates on the case. They might be responding to emails. They might be chatting with our virtual agent. And then finally, at the very end, after all these interactions and all these tasks that are created, we get back to the student with the results. And they're likely going through this same process with multiple colleges all at the same time. So it's important that we get the student these results as quickly as possible, hopefully within the same day, not multiple days, not multiple weeks, so that they can make the right decision in knowing that the college is the best fit for them. So quite a bit happening, and this process is much more streamlined with having a workflow in place with ServiceNow on our platform. But just think about how this process might have been done manually without any of these automations in place. Pretty labor intensive. So let's look at that same process, but with Now Assist, which is our generative AI functionality across the platform. The goal is really to reduce even more manual work so that we can get this automated faster and we can get the student a response much faster. So student can still submit their information on the college's website, and the platform would automatically create a case. From there is where the magic starts to happen, and that's where Now Assist kind of takes over the evaluation process, using things like document intelligence to read the transcript and match courses on the transcript, using robotic process automation, or RPA. And that's where we push information into the student's record. We might pull from Slate, we might pull from the National Student Clearinghouse through those automations and APIs that we have in place with them, so that we can route approvals to the different evaluators as they might need. But let's say that something doesn't quite match up, Maybe we can't read the transcript with RPA. We can actually auto-assign that to the person where they can get an AI-generated summary of the entire case process with our Agent Assist functionality. And all of this can happen seamlessly in minutes while we can keep the potential student updated along the way. So much faster, less intervention, less time needed to get that student that response, and ultimately getting that student a response in minutes rather than days or weeks. So last thing I want to highlight is ultimately who you could work for, as you gain this ServiceNow experience and learn more about the platform. So we've got companies like Disney Plus, like Starbucks, like Pfizer, Apple. We have Microsoft, Amazon. All of these companies who are ultimately using ServiceNow across their enterprise or across their business. And these are, anyone from healthcare, research institutions, telco, consumer health, your Ivy League. So you've flown on their planes, you've stayed in their hotels, you've worn their apparel, played their games, and so much more. All of these companies are using ServiceNow, and I'm sure they are very excited that we have more ServiceNow knowledgeable folks entering the ecosystem who can help with their business transformation goals. So with that, I'm going to hand it back over to Melissa. Really appreciate your time, and I'm going to stay on, happy to answer any questions that you might have.